What's up everybody, and welcome to another edition of AGR's Pop Culture Reviews. Now, if you've been following the show for a while, you'll know how incredibly impressed I was with the Netflix DareDevil series. They certainly re-envisioned the character, and in my opinion, although there were alterations to the costume, it was definitely a little bit more true to the source material in terms of the overall character. Matt Murdock was always very fascinating for me, because by day and by trade he was a lawyer, and yet at night he was a vigilante, and those things are diametrically opposed in terms of their ideology, not to mention he's a Catholic. These three tremendous polarizing aspects of his persona create an incredible amount of inner turmoil for this character. And one of the aspects that I love about comic books or graphic novels that doesn't always translate well into film is the subtle nuance of self-reflection that these characters undeniably have to go through. And speaking of the comic books, there is something to be said about the design that we see visually represented in those pages. So today we're going to be reviewing Diamond Select Toys' version of DareDevil. Let's take a closer look. As I mentioned before, I really love the design and the realism of the Netflix series costume. But I gotta tell you guys, I'm always in love with what I saw in the comics, and here is a perfect representation of it. This is absolutely beautiful, and what I remember as a kid about the man without fear. Now, I do have a couple problems with it, and I'll explain what the overall flaw with this piece is, but in terms of the design and the sculpt, especially where the head is concerned, it's awesome. I definitely love the facial area and the mask. The little horns are perfect, and those red eyes are just so cool, guys. Again, perfect representation of what we saw in the comics. What I find most remarkable about this piece is the incredible amount of detail at this price point, retailing for about $49.99. Just take a look at the detail on the torso of this figure. The muscular structure is absolutely incredible and beautifully sculpted. I especially love the DD symbol on his chest, which looks great. The abdominal area is perfect. Everything is very amplified, but again, there is one flaw, and I think that you guys can point it out, but I will definitely cover it at the end of the video. Now, there are a couple textures at play here, although they are a little bit limited because of the fact that it's one solid color, and again, I'll go back to that point. For some reason, every Daredevil statue that I've seen or reviewed has had the same problem. It's definitely with the batons. For some reason, they always come a little bit warped. I'm not sure why, but that's just the way it comes out. And it's a real shame because that's his signature weapon, so you'd think they pay a little more attention to the detail there. The other issue I have with the batons is the chain linking them, and I use chain loosely because it looks like a string and it looks horrible. However, one of the best aspects of this piece is definitely in the stance, because it is not only unique but pretty remarkable. I love the fact that he's kind of leaping off the side of the building and he's really attached to the base in that manner, which is really cool. In terms of art style, it is pretty bold, and I like that they did this. It also really serves as a focal point and accentuates the lower half of this figure. It's incredibly muscular and it's got a lot of detail, really awesome, but again, that one fatal flaw is really holding it back. Now, I know in most of my reviews I'm giving a recommendation to mirror a piece because it warrants it, but in this case it's the complete opposite. I'm telling you not to mirror this piece, and I'll tell you why. Unfortunately, there is a great amount of detail in the actual figure itself, but when it comes to the reverse side of the base, that's where it's lacking a little bit. In fact, it is actually kind of ugly. To be honest with you, the reverse side of the base looks like you're turning a shirt inside out. But this design is not by accident. Fortunately, you have the ability to actually hang this on the wall, very similar to the Homecoming Spider-Man statue. And definitely hang this, guys. It's gonna look awesome. Now guys, what can I say? The base on this piece is absolutely breathtaking. It is so beautifully done, and I know that it's PVC plastic, but it absolutely looks like stone. Most importantly, just take a look at the iron grate there. It looks so awesome. I like that the edges are broken off. The stone is impeccably done, so much detail, and I love that there's little broken stones and little broken bits that look very granular. This is just a really well done job, guys, and this is why I lament it so much that that one fatal flaw is holding it back. So what have I been pissing and moaning about this entire review? Well, if you haven't figured it out already, guys, it is the shading, or the lack thereof. There is absolutely no shading on this piece, which really sucks because there is so much muscular structure and so much detail that is just dying for a nice shading job, and they didn't do it, and it makes it look like a cheap knockoff, unfortunately. However, despite that big flaw, I'm still definitely going to recommend this piece. And all you've got to do is find somebody who's got some skills with an airbrush, and this thing is going to look epic, guys. Think of it as an open canvas, just waiting for some customization. Now before I go, I just want to send a special shout out to today's sponsor, FB Collectibles Incorporated, for sending this wonderful piece over for review. Alright everybody, so that's my official review on Diamond Select Toys version of Daredevil. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next AGR's Pop Culture Reviews.